Hi everybody, welcome to my latest video. Kind of a divergence from my typical videos, but I was sitting here the other day thinking about all the weird stuff that has happened with my pets. And I thought, you know what? I bet I could talk about some of those. The first ones I'm going to talk about happened with my cats. And basically, I've had cats all my life. So there's going to be a lot of cats in these stories. But I was married for 20 years, and my husband passed away at just around after our 20th wedding anniversary, unexpectedly. And it was a shock, and there was a lot of grieving going on in the household. I was away from all my family, and so my pets picked up on that, I think. But anyway, at the time I had two cats, and one was a Applehead Siamese. She was probably 12 years old at the time. And the other cat was Ragdoll, and he was a pretty good sized cat. Okay, so my husband passed away. I was by myself in the house all the time. I worked, came home, and I'd spend a lot of time in the living room on my love seat, and I'd watch TV from the love seat, and I'd have my head on one arm of the love seat and my feet across the other arm of the love seat. So it was kind of like a recliner, but a love seat. So one night, it was late, and my one cat jumped up on the arm of the love seat where my feet were. And I noticed the cat was looking up like this at the exact height of how a person would be standing next to the love seat or in front of the love seat. And pretty soon the cat is just not moving its gaze from like where the face would be. And then I saw the cat go like this, like it was touching whatever was standing there. Like I imagined it was, this is where my mind went. I imagined it was like my guardian angel, and it had tassels on its robe, and the cat was touching or playing with the tassels. And that was just so weird to me, that the cat would look at something and paw at it, and I couldn't, of course, I couldn't see anything. Then the next weird thing with my other cat, who was older, I was in bed because I worked kind of night shift, well, PM shift. I got home at 11:30 or midnight. And so I was sleeping in kind of late. Sometimes I did, 7 or 8 o'clock, because I didn't go right to bed when I got home. And my cat, I heard something, like this really weird cry. And I thought, okay, well, I don't know what's going on. But then the cat, oh no, I did. I got up to check, and she was hiding from me. And she was going through the living room and looking up at the ceiling. And she was really distressed. It wasn't that playful, oh, I'm spooked, I'm going to run and hide, you know, that kind. Because I've seen cats do that, where they look crazy and they run around. This is my cat, Zoe. She is going to be a subject of quite a few stories later. But this cat, I had her for years, and I knew her. She was petrified. And I thought, well, what in the world? And I started getting goose pimples really bad, and I felt this weird kind of a heaviness, and I got really, really spooked. And so I thought, well, I'm going to shake it off. And I went into the bathroom, and she ran in the bathroom behind me, and she hid behind the toilet, which she has never done in her life. She just huddled behind the toilet like she was hiding from the devil himself. I mean, she just would not give it up. So, me being a Christian background, I was praying out loud, and I was rebuking whatever heaviness was in the air. And so that passed. But those are weird experiences that, I mean, people could explain it away to whatever, but I felt like it was notable enough that it was just weird. It was just weird. Now, the cat that you saw behind me, Zoe, she is a camping cat. She has gone on many camping trips with us, and she likes to go out at night. So I oftentimes will put a harness on her and walk her in the moonlight or a starlit night or whatever. And this one time, which was we were on the west side of Lake Michigan, camping on the beach, and we were the first campsite next to the woods, and then the rest were campsites on down the beach. So we had one side with just woods, and it stretched quite a ways till it hit a private property way up the beach. So there was nothing in those woods. And if you've ever watched Dave Paulides or, any kind of Bigfoot lore, you know that what wood knocks are. And supposedly Bigfoot does wood knocks. I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning is behind that, but supposedly if you do wood knocks, you can summon one up, or whatever you want to say. So anyway, Zoe doesn't usually like to get away from the rig. She likes to kind of walk around the rig. It's a 37-foot RV. And she kind of likes to stay close. She doesn't want to go by the water, anything noisy. So, but this time, this was in late afternoon. She took me down a path in those woods like somebody owed her money. She just dragged me down the path. And I'm like, what is she doing? Because she's normally not, she'd never been down there before. And she was like heart set on getting someplace, like she'd been there before. And all of a sudden, I heard wood knocks. And like I said, there wasn't anything in the park on that side. There wasn't any buildings except for way down the beach. And that spooked me because I'm like, oh no, wood knocks. And I had to drag her back. It's like she knew what was there and she wanted to hand me over to the thing. But that was just weird for her to do that. Okay, then another instance with the same cat. We were in New Mexico, camping along the Rio Grande. And it was a moonlit night, and it was beautiful. It was chilly. And once again, if you're familiar with Bigfoot, they like to throw rocks. Supposedly, allegedly. Don't listen to me, do your own research. Okay, so we're out on the harness and leash, and we're walking around, and all of a sudden, I think she climbed a tree or something, and then we were ready to go in. And I was getting her harness undone outside, and a rock got thrown at me. It wasn't like a rock. It was probably about this big. And I turned around and I thought, oh, it was probably an acorn. Well, I looked up and I'm like, oh no, it can't be an acorn because we're parked under salt cedar trees. And they don't have any nuts at all. They have feathery seeds that come out on a stem. So I'm like, well, that was weird because I could still see there was nobody around. There was a high bank behind us, but there was nobody back there. So that was another weird occurrence with that cat. Another episode was with my husband's blue heeler. And I used to take that dog on long walks at a forest preserve near our house. And the way the forest preserve was, it was basically a big, huge open field. And then there was a pine tree forest next to the field. And when we reached the top of the hill, we would walk parallel to the forest on the trail. Well, you could see into there because it was pine. It was like white pines and red pines. So there wasn't a lot of underbrush because the light doesn't get in there. And so nothing grows except for right next to the trail. But you can see past those bushes. Well, we're walking along. And I can hear something following me and paralleling me as I'm walking, and I would stop, and the crunching of footsteps would stop. And I started getting my hackles up, and I couldn't see anything in there, which was really disturbing. If there was a person, I should have been able to see them. And the dog wasn't alerting to anything just then, but I kept stopping, and the noise would stop. And finally, I got really scared, and I thought, well, I can't see a person, but it's gotta be a person. So I stopped and I screamed into the woods, "I know you're there!" And the dog just took a cue from me and just went berserk. He just barked and snarled and barked and snarled, and I could not calm him down for a long time. So we cut that walk short, and we went back home, because I thought, oh, because usually I walk way up through the woods, around another big field, and then back down through some woods. It was kind of a sketchy area. And so I thought, oh, just play it safe and not even finish the walk. So we did. I was going to also mention, we were camping another time on the Keweenaw Bay in the UP. Not the big Keweenaw Bay, but it's separated by another little offshoot of peninsula or something. And I had Zoe again. She's trying to get me killed off. I'm looking at her right now. She's staring at me. Probably with murderous intent. No, she loves me. She really does. We were out walking again at night. I should not take her out at night. She's just, some weird stuff happens. So we're walking around, and I think there was maybe 1 or 2 campers there, and everyone was basically tucked in. It was quiet. There weren't any parties going on, and it was just a quiet summer's evening. And we were walking along. I don't remember all the details to this, but I do remember we were walking across the grass to a little patch of woods. And there wasn't much behind it, really, because there was like an apartment building way over. And this was a secluded area. This is not like in town. This is secluded. And something super heavy stepped on a thick, I mean, you can tell if you step on a branch, you know the sound of a thin branch or a medium branch. This was a cracking of, I would venture to guess, probably a branch that thick or more. So something heavy had to step on that. It was loud enough and weird enough that I hightailed it back to the rig, because I'm like, oh, I don't think a person could snap a branch unless they weighed like 400 pounds. I don't know, but it sounded like a huge branch that snapped really super loud. And another time I was with my animals camping, and I was relaxing in my lounge chair, and I heard breathing. Like, if people that are around horses a lot, you know how much air they move when they breathe. Like, take a big breath, you know how much air that sounds like. And on the other side of my RV, I could hear this breathing. Like, voluminous breathing. And I thought, is that a bear? Well, I went into the RV because it spooked me. You know, I'm a scaredy cat. And I looked all around. There was nothing out there. Nothing out there whatsoever. So those are just a couple of weird stories. Some don't have anything to do with my cats, but just weird happenings that I've. So I'm just curious, have any of you had any kind of weird experience with your pets where you can't explain it, or it's just a weird vibe, and they react to it, or they're the catalyst to it that gets you riled up or taking notice. If you do, leave a comment, because I'm kind of curious as to if this is a prevalent thing or kind of a hit or miss thing. So thanks for listening, everybody, and hopefully I'll be back on my normal content soon, and we'll see you later. How do I shut this off?